Welcome to the Allegany County Chamber of Commerce Board of Education Candidate Forum. It is the Allegany County 2016 Presidential General Election Local Candidates Forum for the Board of Education. 3 candidates appear on the ballot for that election for 2 open seats on the Board of Education. With us this evening, from left to right, is Laura Lee Farrell, Tammy Fraley, and Nicholas Hadley. As we have discussed the format this evening, there will be a number of questions. Each candidate will alternate who goes first. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to answer that question. Behind us is a timer with 30 seconds remaining in the question. You will see an indication of a card being raised. At 2 minutes, a bell will ring, and I'll ask you then to wrap up. So, going forward, first question goes to Laura Lee Farrell. Tell us about yourself, why you are running for the Board of Education, your strengths, and how you complement the other members of the board.
I'm running for election because I want to see the school system be a thriving, productive, successful organization for everyone, especially the students. There were 3-4 parts to that question now.
I'll repeat it. Tell us about yourself,
Okay.
why you are running for the board, your strengths, and how you will complement the other members of the board.
Of course, my name is Laura Lee Farrell, and I live in the eastern part of Allegany County with my husband, Bob Farrell. I'm retired. And as I said, I'm running for election to the Board of Education because I want to see this organization be a really successful endeavor for everybody in the county, for everybody to revel in the success of our young people. I want to what were the other 2 again? I should have written this down. Can we start over? I need to write that. That's 4 questions in like one. Wait a minute.
We'll continue on to get everybody the same benefit. How will you complement the other members of the board?
How will I complement the other members of the board? I feel that I have a lot of knowledge about the school system and how it operates. And many of the people who are employed by the board, and I feel that this would be very helpful as a member of the board to have that knowledge and experience, and I want to bring about better communication, and I think that I definitely can do that. I want to see the budget managed in a more efficient way, and I believe that I have a lot of experience with the budget at the school system since I have been employed by them for many years. So I have a lot of things to share and be helpful with the school system.
Great. Thank you, Laura Lee. Tammy Fraley.
Hi, my name is Tammy Fraley. I've lived in Allegany County for just over 11 years. I have 4 children. 2 are in college, and 2 are in elementary schools in Allegany County. My husband is a City of Cumberland police officer and also works in the schools as a school resource officer. Why I'm running for the board is I want to be the parents' voice in the school board. I want to ensure that parents and those taking care of our students have a voice and have a way to get things changed that they want changed, but also to optimize what's already there, because a lot of times parents don't know what's going on because the communication is lacking. So I want to increase that communication. I want to increase that voice of the parent. I also want to ensure that there's a safe environment for our children. In today's world, there's just so much going on, and we need to ensure that our children are safe, as well as our teachers and administrators that are in the schools, that they have a safe environment as well. And lastly, I really want to ensure that we look at the budget and do more with less. My background is I'm a business consultant, have been for well over 20 years, and also a cost accountant. And I want to ensure that we look at creative budgeting and the use of funds to the best that we can. And that's one of my strengths, I believe, is having that business background to make a difference business-wise. As far as the other board members and my relationship with them or how I could work with them, I think that being a business consultant who's been on a project for 13 years at the same project, I've learned to work with all kinds of people. And you learn that you have to give and take. And I think that's an important piece of working on a board. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Nicholas Hadley.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Hadley. I am a lifelong resident of Lonaconing here in Allegany County. I live there with my wife and my new 5-week-old baby. The main reason that I initially ran for the board, I was in local politics anyway, but I got to see how some of the things were going on within the school system, and I thought, you know, I really need to make an impact for my future children. And I thought that would be a great way to step up and say, my dedication is make this a better school system, not only for all of the children of Allegany County, but for my children. Now that I have a son, I mean, we're a while away from him going to school, but it means even more to me to make sure that it is the most comprehensive studies that are out there. I want to make sure that the programs are in place that need to be in place. I know through my tenure on the board that we have put in place different active learning labs, which is a great success. We also have put in Discovery, which is a program that is done on the computer. We also have made the Chinese Immersion program a strong program within Westside, and I would love to see that grow stronger. Anything that pertains to the students, whether it be academically or whether it be for the Career Center, is what I'm focused on. I actually have been there for a few years, so I feel that my expertise on the board is one that has not been questioned. I have gone through budget processes, and it's not a simple process, but it is a one that's definitely needed. And I feel that I can bring a great working relationship with anybody that gets elected if I'm reelected, because we get along very well on the board. With that being said, I just want to say that we are making great strides with the academic and Career Center programs that we currently have in place.
Thank you, Nick. The next question will go first to Tammy Fraley. The question is, school boards make educational policy and oversee programs, but county commissioners determine how much local funding the school districts receive. Should the board be given taxing authority? Why or why not? Tammy?
I believe that the school board should not be given taxing authority. I believe that what we need to do is work more closely with our county commissioners as well as our state representatives to find funding rather than it be the school board doing that taxing. Because I believe that we do need to have checks and balances in place. As a school board, if you were taxing, you're making your own money. And there's no checks and balances there. So I believe that having the checks and balances of the county commissioners, but also expanding into that maintenance of effort formula and the state funding that we receive, I believe that needs to be expanded upon, because there is opportunity there if we can work together to change those formulas and expand our programs.
Okay. Thank you, Tammy. Nick?
Well, it would be wonderful if we were able to do the tax base, but I am totally and completely against being a tax base, because that would be a little extra power that the board doesn't need. As you had said, Stu, that we are just there for policy and procedures. I don't want to be in charge of any extraneous money that isn't necessarily due. And I do believe that we have a decent relationship with the county commissioners, and I would like to just see us work a little better with state funding as well as with the county commissioners to secure any unneeded funding that would be out there. I know with the Allegany project, we were able to have both the state and county pony up a little extra funds, and that worked out with diplomatic discussions and everything. So I think that's the one way to make it work without having extra tax or us having taxing authority. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you, Nick. Laura Lee?
Thank you. I agree with the other two candidates, and that is that I think that the taxation should be done in the manner in which it's being done now and not changed. And I think that it's really important that the school system, the school board works with the county commissioners, and I think that that is entirely possible to benefit everyone. I know that for years and years and years, as long as I can remember, the Board of Education and the county commissioners worked extremely well together. It's only been in the last 7 years that they've had so much difficulty working together. They didn't always agree on everything, but they were able to sit down and work out whatever questions or issues they had and work to benefit the students, the kids, the young people in our county. And I think having the county commissioners as part of this whole formula is really a very beneficial thing for the Board of Education. I also understand that there has been legislation that has passed with Bill 599 and 509 to have a 25-member committee to study school funding over the next year and make recommendations to Governor Hogan. This is very promising because it may actually change the formulas by which counties are funded now, and that may really be to Allegany County's benefit. And I'm very excited about all of that, and I'm going to be watching it very closely because I think it's going to really help our state and our counties and our school systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura Lee. The next question, we'll start with Nicholas Hadley. The question is, for a number of years, the Board of Education has experienced budget shortfalls that cannot continue much longer. In addition to advocating for increased revenues, what specific expense items need to be adjusted in the near and long term?
Thank you, Stu.
Thank you.
Like I said before, the budget is a very hard subject to deal with, and we have been funded at maintenance of effort for the last several years. I've been there for 4 almost, and it's been maintenance of effort. I know as we sit down and we go through our books before it's presented to the public, we go through all of the programs that are funded, we go through all line items that are funded, and we try to cut where we possibly can. The last thing I want to see are programs that these teachers work so hard to keep going cut. And that would be the last thing I would want to see. But I think some of the funding that comes in needs to focus on the classroom itself. If programs that are extraneous that may not be able to be funded, we may have no choice but to cut those, but that's the last thing that we could do. There's really no extra employees that are on the books that would cause the funding. The last thing I would want to see as well is any kind of schools getting closed, and we are very tight on funding, but that would be the last thing I would want to see happen. So we just need to make sure that we work with the county commissioners and everybody involved.
Thank you, Nick. Laura Lee?
Thank you. Over the last 4 years, the board has spent, in addition to their budget, an additional $9 million out of their fund balance or their savings account, so to speak. That has been a great deal of spending. Their fund balance, their savings, has been used tremendously, with $9 million being used out of it. And I know with their health care reserve, they've spent $7 million out of there. So we're talking about minimally $16 million. I think with this kind of spending, there really needs to be very vigilant work that needs to be done as to a review of, what can be eliminated that's been spent. I have a couple of examples, for instance, and that is I don't really think there was a need for a full-service kitchen to be installed in the central office administrative building. And I know for the groundbreaking at Allegany, what I'm hearing is that was cost about $25,000 for a tent, a podium, catered luncheon for all the guests, and also a silver or gold shovel for everyone. Those kind of things need to be really carefully examined, and the budget really needs to be, this is a lot of work for the upcoming board, and that is to really look at this carefully. I know of many ways that I feel spending can still be reduced. For instance, they can put a moratorium on out-of-state travel. I don't think that out-of-state travel can be proven to have improved student test scores. So things like that can
thank you,
be
Lily.
addressed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tammy?
I think that looking at the school funding and the formula that's used, I think that we really do need to take a deep dive into the budget and look at the line items of the budget, because as Nick said, I think that the teachers and the number of teachers that we have in the school system, there's not a lot of room there. There's actually probably more of a need to have more teachers, because our student-teacher ratio is getting almost too high. I know that my kids in the classroom, having a classroom of 30 fifth graders, trying to teach them math is challenging at best. And I know there's quite a few schools that have those numbers in their classrooms, and that's hard to do. So looking at programs, I believe that the programs enrich our school system and should be the last thing that is cut. I believe that they have an economic effect in the long run. Having a school system that provides quality education is going to make businesses want to come here because they want to have their kids in our school system. Having expanded programs like the Chinese immersion program as well as an agricultural program, I think truly will make a difference, not just within our schools and to our students, but to our county in total. So I think that we need to look outside of the programs and truly get down to the nickels and dimes of trying to cut where we can and move money around. We've been on maintenance of effort for so many years. We can't grow money on trees. And we need to be considerate of what we want as a quality education. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. The next question, we'll start out with Laura Lee Farrell. The question is, what current policies and procedures do you have challenges with, and or what current policies and procedures would you change?
Well, 2 years ago, we talked about the policy that they called the communication policy, where employees and board members were discouraged from communicating with each other. I believe that was changed. However, I think that the die had been cast, that the atmosphere was actually it was a result of that policy, and even though the policy changed, unfortunately, that attitude and that feeling among the employees did not change. I think that, unfortunately, there is a climate of fear in the organization with the employees. I would desperately like to see that change, because I think that's not really a productive, not a productive attitude within that organization. So I would really like to see the communication be one of the areas in which there are a lot of really improvements in, as far as not only communication within the organization, but also communication with the community and the commissioners and parents, and I would really like to see that be a big improvement, have a big improvement.
Thank you, Laura Lee. Tammy?
I think I have two policies that I would like to look at. I agree with Laura Lee that the communication policy needs to be there. As a parent that has gone to school board meetings for several years and actually spoke in front of the school board, to stand up and talk about whatever you're there to talk about, and not be able to get a response back. I understand that they need time to formulate a response and discuss things, but I think having some open forums, not every meeting has to be an open back and forth dialogue between the board and who's speaking, but having some open dialogue session, so to speak, that allows that to occur. would be helpful as a parent. I also think, though, that we need to ensure that teachers and administrators and custodians and everybody that works in the school system needs a way to express their opinions, and whether it be anonymously because there is some fear of retribution to them, or again, an open forum to where they can talk outside their normal ranks, so to speak. I think, too, you do have to make sure that you do follow a protocol to some extent, because there are some things that have privacy that needs to take place. You don't want to just come up and talk about somebody that you have a problem with in an open forum. But I think that does need to be opened up. And I also think, though, the communication to a parent needs to be opened up. We need to be willing, the school board needs to be willing to send out information without having it go through a bunch of red tape so that everybody knows what's going on. I also think we need to use technology to do that. We need to expand our technology of emails and websites to do that. And lastly would be the cell phone policy, which I believe has been looked at already, and it appears to be being corrected at teachers' input, and I think we need to follow through with that and ensure that that policy is used throughout the school system.
Thank you, Tammy. Nick?
Okay, well, I hate to piggyback off the other two, but I do have to say that one of the major issues, and Tammy is correct, is the cell phone policy. That is being looked at and refurbished to basically take into account what the teacher said. A few months ago, the teachers came to the board meeting, and they did come out and they said, you know what, we need to fix this cell phone policy. We need to update it because kids are going crazy with the way they're using it, whether they're using it for actual class or they're using it as just an extra add-on or texting someone across the way. And I think one of the things is that was confusing was no one realized there was a cell phone policy in place. So I think once Dr. Cox sat down with those teachers that voiced their opinion and they realized that there was a policy in force, that helped, but that is in the process of being tweaked. And I think that eventually cell phones are actually going to be definitely needed in classrooms where we can't get iPads or computers or anything like that. I think kids would then be able to use their cell phones for that purpose. But I do believe that one of the major things that we as a board have, and myself included, is worried about is how it's being used and the repercussions if it's used incorrectly. So I think we're in the process of tweaking it. It's going to be much better off the way it is, and it's going to give the teachers the accountability to say, put your cell phone away, you can't use it, and the students will have to obey that. As it is now, it's just kind of do whatever you want. So I think the cell phone, and then also the communication, it's being worked on, but that is probably our biggest trouble area. It is getting better, but it by far needs to be enhanced as well, and that needs to be some type of a task force or some sort of a group of teachers and maybe even parents included to update that. So thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Next question starts with Tammy Fraley. Drug use is an increasing concern in our community. Are drugs an issue in our schools? What can be done to prevent our students from using drugs and keep the drugs themselves from entering our schools?
We would be naive to say that there's not a drug problem in our school system. There's a drug problem in our county. There's a drug problem in our state. So we have to accept the fact that there is a drug problem in our schools. It may not even be our students that are doing the drugs, but their families are doing drugs. And we have to recognize the fact that the entire family has an impact on the school system, not just the student that's in the school, but everywhere around them. So we have to address this drug problem. As a school board, I believe that we need to be open and honest with that. We need to create task force to deal with the drug problem in our schools and look at it at an age-appropriate way. Currently today, we have a great program with the DARE program in 5th grade as well as in 7th grade. They continue with that process. We need to get them when they're younger. Having students in the elementary schools that is in 1st grade and in 5th grade right now, I know for a fact that my 1st grader hears about it all the time because his 5th grade brother talks about it. So we have to be open and honest and address that. I believe we need to continue having school resource officers in the school system to address that. We need to ensure that there is an open and honest way for students to talk to administrators or to their school resource officer so that they have a place to go when they're scared or when they have a problem. And then I also think that we need to work together with a task force that I know that the city and county are looking at putting together for the heroin problem specifically. And I think the school board should be part of that task force. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Nick?
Well, many years ago when I was in fifth grade, I actually went through the DARE program. And back then it was a very simple, just say no. Well, unfortunately, the peer pressure and the fact that it is out there and the drugs are more prevalent and easier to get to, just saying no isn't as easy anymore. So I really think that we definitely need to have the resource officers still in all of the schools, promoting the fact that this isn't something that we want, that it isn't something that you want to do. And, you know, I have actually had a family member pass away because of this. So it hits home. And whenever we think that, when you think of a druggie or someone that has a habit, you think of someone that's on the streets and possibly going out and getting it and just needing a fix. But at the same token now, it's coming in with the heroin and everything else coming into our families. And it's like Tammy said, it's not just affecting our kids because our kids may not be using these drugs, but it might be hitting a brother, a sister, a aunt, uncle, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and we need to stop that. And we need to make sure there's a safe haven for our kids that are involved in that, whether it's get them out of there fast as we can, give them an alternative, or we need to actually make sure that, like Tammy said, it's not just segmented in certain areas of school. It needs to be in every grade. It needs to be for every level. And we need to make sure that people realize, yeah, there's a drug out there that'll bring you back if you overdose, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's ever going to work or that there's someone there. So I'd hate to see that be used as a crutch for kids that are out there doing it, because young lives, we don't want to see them lost. So we need to get this under control, and we need to do it fast.
Thank you, Nick. Laura Lee?
Thank you. Yes, there, as both of my fellow candidates have spoken, that is very true, that we can't turn a blind eye to the fact that drugs are available to kids and that they really have a very difficult time at their age, even in high school, understanding the consequences of involvement in these kind of activities. I remember working with the kids on these issues in a student-oriented program where we had a adolescent drug counselor from the health department come and speak with the kids, and he would say, in the beginning, everything looks rosy, but as you go down this road, everything falls apart. So this is a hard issue to tackle. I think that it absolutely, we have to do education, continued drug prevention education, not only with the students and more of it, because we have very little time to do this with everything that we're required to do. The staff needs to be educated. The guidance counselors need to be part of it. We need to all work together in the school system to address this. I definitely think that school resource officers are a big help in this area and the programs that we already have, but we need more. One of the things that I'd love to see are drug prevention programs that the students are involved in, maybe after school, where they help to identify some of the problems and they also help to identify some of the solutions, because sometimes the kids themselves know more about what's going on and how to address it than any of the adults. So kids need support for those kind of programs.
Thank you, Laura Lee. The next question goes to Nicholas Hadley. The construction of a new school is now underway in Allegheny County. In your opinion, is the size and configuration of the new school appropriate for our current and future needs? Why or why not?
Well, first of all, I'm very happy that that new school has been started. The construction is well underway, and they're doing a great start at this point. I do believe that the structure for the Allegany residents right now, as far as the Allegany students, is definitely adequate, with a little extra built in there. I don't think down the road that we're going to have any problem, accommodating new students. I would love to say that we would have an influx of hundreds of people into this community. community, and we would worry about that whenever it happens. But right now, we are definitely adequate where we sit. The school, I think, is set to hold a little over 700, which is a state of Maryland standard, and I think that we're actually going to be okay based on the population that's in Allegany High School right now. So I don't think there's any question in my mind that we're ready.
Thank you, Nick. Laura Lee.
Thank you. It's my understanding that this school will absolutely accommodate the student population of Allegany, the current Allegany High School. I think there's a concern that if our student population continues to go down, and depending how rapidly, if that happens and how rapidly it happens, will this continue to be Allegany High School, or will there need to be a reconfiguration of the school building usage in our county? I believe there was some conversation about if the population of students continued to decrease, this could possibly be used as a middle school. If this building is built for 700 students, I'm not sure that sounds to me like it would be maybe conducive for the two middle schools to be combined into that building. Let me just say this, and that is, I really think that one of the most important things that the Board of Education is tasked with is to think in the future all the time. To whatever decisions they make, not only should be always in the best interest of the students first and foremost, but also they need to be very forward-thinking because of changes that may occur in our county, and to be really cognizant of that and plan for those kind of changes. So I can't say that I know that this is going to work well for Allegany in the future, and will the building need to be used in another way? I can't say that I understand that it can be. So I do have concern in that respect.
Thank you, Laura Lee. Tammy.
I know that in attending the board meetings when the school construction's been talked about, I know that they've done a great job of ensuring that they had committees and task force that went and looked at the statistics of what was occurring from a school population perspective, population growth in Allegany County. I know that there's some that say that our school population is decreasing, but I think what we have to consider is students that are in kindergarten, when they're going to hit high school, and what's going to occur when they get to high school. I know personally that my son, that is a senior in college now, went to Allegany High School 4 years ago, and I would not have my child in Allegany High School the way it is now. I didn't like it when he was there 4 years ago. They needed to do something, and I think that the school board did due diligence in determining that they needed to do something about Allegany High School. And at the time, with the resources that they could get, it appears that the best option was to build a new Allegany High School. When we get to the opening of Allegany High School, or the building, I guess you could say, when we get to the opening of that building, I think we will, as a school board, need to determine the best use of that building. But I believe that right now, if you look at the statistics of what is occurring, like Nicholas said, the high school, Allegany, will be able to house those students that are currently projected to be in high school at that time. And I think that the school will be a major asset to Allegany County. The technology that's going to be there and the ability for that to work in a green way, so to speak, is something that truly is going to make a difference in this county. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. The next question goes first to Laura Lee Farrell. What is your opinion of how our facilities are currently being utilized, and what does future utilization look like? How would you prioritize pending capital improvement projects, and is consolidation of facilities an option?
Well, I think that Fort Hill High School is not being used to its capacity. I understand that there's a whole wing of Fort Hill that is really currently not really being utilized. So to look at the capacity and how our buildings are being utilized, I think there's that's a very important question. I think that Mountain Ridge High School also is not completely being utilized. There are empty classrooms there. In lieu of that, how could that be reconfigured? As I said once before, it's so important for the board members to look to the future, and that's what we're talking about here, how to best utilize our buildings, because utilizing the buildings to the best that we can is going to be so critical to the money situation and what it costs. I think that would any changes be made? Well, I think that there's always that possibility, considering on, as we said, we don't know what the student population is going to be. A lot of whatever changes might be made will be determined probably by the number of students that we need to account for with our educational system. So there's many questions ahead still.
Thank you, Lord Lee. Tammy?
I think looking at the facilities that we have is important, because we need to ensure that all of our students have a safe environment to learn in, as well as a quality environment to learn in. Some students learn better in an open space environment. Some students learn better in closed classrooms. So as a board, looking at the facilities and also making sure that we understand the needs of that area and where that school is. There's some schools that need different arrangements and have different programs. Some have early childhood programs or special education programs, and we need to ensure that the facilities are used to the best that they can be for all of those programs. The pending capital projects that we have that the board looks at, I know that the board takes due diligence in ensuring that they prioritize those to ensure that they're in an order that, again, focuses on the quality education as well as safety. I know even at the last board meeting, the discussion of the bridge for Bel Air, which I know is not necessarily a facility, but it is a piece of a capital project that needs to be looked at. And I think that those are the things we need to consider, not just the buildings themselves, but the area around the buildings, again, so that the children have a quality education.
Thank you, Tammy. Nick?
Well, I do have to say that I do believe that the middle schools and the high schools are being utilized to their utmost performance. I am a little concerned at some of the overabundance of kids that are in some elementary schools compared to others. I think if anything could be updated or amended, that would be some of the population within the elementary schools. I have no idea what will happen down the road as far as looking to redistrict or move or change, but I think that's where we would need to see the overall change. As far as the new Allegany High School, the idea is this school is going to open as a high school. The idea is that down the road, if we would need to look at combining with a consolidation, possibly taking the two middle schools was an option. I don't think we're going to see the high schools combined because there's a population, and I'm going to remain optimistic that the community is going to continue to grow, that we're going to need these three high schools. Okay? But when you talk about consolidation, you can't ever take that off the table there. That's not something I ever want to go through because I've lived through it. I was a student whenever that happened in the Georges Creek area. It is devastating. But we also have to look at what's the best for our students. If it means putting them together where they can have all of the current programs that are currently in force so we don't lose those programs, that's what it's about. It's not about a building. It's not about me. It's not about the teachers. It's about what's best for our students. So if consolidation is that, then that's what we're going to be about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. The next question goes first to Tammy Fraley. Allegany County is a recipient of a P-TECH planning grant. Are you supportive of the P-TECH model or Pathways in Technology Early College High School program? Why or why not?
I am in favor of looking at preparing our students to be college and career ready. I do believe that use of technology is key. Technology is our future. We can't look past that, but we also have to consider that in our local area where our students are going to be going into college as well as to going into careers, that not everything is technology. So we do need to look at both. But I do think that I was, again, at the board meeting when they talked about the grant that was received and what good it was going to do for our community, as well as work together with Allegany College and Frostburg State to have our students have a path forward as early as high school, to start to be prepared so that they have something to look forward to in our local area. And I think using grant money to do that and to build up our students, to give them something to look forward to is a wonderful thing, and we do need to continue it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Nick?
Well, I am 100% totally in favor of the P-TECH grant, and I think the way that it came about and where it was going to be utilized, the Career Center is going to be, they've already got the courses ready and set up for that. So I think that it's going to definitely benefit them. And I love the fact, like Tammy said, the collaboration between Frostburg State and Allegany College is only going to enhance the use of that grant. So I think that it's great that we get the technology out there. The college and career ready is what we're pushing most of our students for doing. But we also have to remember, I'm a huge proponent of the Career Center, and the fact that it is in the Career Center, or most likely where it's going to end up, for those computer courses and everything, those are hands-on people, and this is giving them an outlet and a way to actually have some funding there to help out with their studies. So I am total support of it, and I would love to see us get more of that, actually.
Thank you, Nick. Laura Lee?
Thank you. I really agree with Mr. Hadley in every single word he said. I think that this is a fabulous opportunity, and grant money can bring to Allegany County programs and advantages for kids that maybe ordinarily they wouldn't have because the money wouldn't be available for them to have that. I think that in the past, grants have been a very integral part of the funding that we used in education, and I really think that grants are one of the best ways to look at additional funding for our county. The future of jobs is going to be in technology, so I think this P-TECH planning grant is just a win-win situation. I'm delighted that it's going to be at the Career Center also, because I think this will be a real boost to the Career Center and the whole community. I really am very pleased about it.
Thank you, Laura Lee. Next question, similarly to add on and expand the previous question, goes to Nick Hadley. How can we or should we better utilize the Center for Career and Technical Education? Are there other learning models we should be considering?
Well, I would love to see this become a 4-year school. I know that kind of is not something that's being looked at, and I believe it has been tried in the past and was not something that ever came to fruition. But as we move further and further into the community with the needs of technology, of local bricklayers or masonry programs or builders or anything of that nature, we're always going to need those people for the community. I think that if we had a 4-year school at the Career Center, that would allow them to not only enhance what they've already got for those 2 years that initially would be there, but they'd be able to start sooner. They'd be ready to go as soon as they're out the door, and that would equip them for the way of making a living for what they want to do. The Career Center does a great job right now with the programs that are out there. I know that we try to make everything possible. There was a wonderful business program that was implemented or was started, and everything was ready to go. And I was very upset to see that happen, where it basically went downhill because they didn't have the enrollment. So I think what we need to do is make sure that kids know that first and foremost, if they want to be a bricklayer, that they can go to the Career Center. If they want to be an automotive detailer, they can go to the Career Center. And if they want to come back and play sports in their home school, they should be allowed to do that. Nothing should interfere with their schedules there. So we want to make sure that the kids know that every possibility for them is, if they want to trade, they can get there and do that, but they can also be part of their home school. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you, Nick. Laura Lee.
I think that the Career Center is actually the jewel of the school system. I think that in the past, and maybe to some degree even now, unfortunately, the Career Center is not necessarily appreciated, the opportunities there, and really given enough attention by not only the school system but the whole community. It's the one school that students can graduate from in the 12th grade and actually start their own business. And that is just an incredible opportunity for our kids, and especially kids who are gifted in the automotive area, or in carpentry, or any of the programs that the Career Center offers. I know that there are children in our school system that have special abilities in those areas that fit so nicely with what's being offered in the Career Center. I think that we all need to really emphasize the importance of this, support those programs, support the people in our community that support the Career Center, and highlight it more. I think it's definitely the jewel that people don't see necessarily shining to the degree that it does. So, I mean, I'm very supportive of the Career Center.
Thank you, Laura Lee. Tammy.
I agree with the other two candidates that the Career Center is a place where we can get the students ready to start jobs as soon as they graduate. I know that there is also, outside of just the trades that are at the Career Center, I know personally the law enforcement program that's out there, those individuals are able to go straight into the academies and be in law enforcement. So you're creating citizens of Allegany County that when they graduate, they can work in our county. And as Nicholas said, the trades, the building trades that are out there, the hope is that our economy continues to grow, and the county commissioners continue to bring in more jobs into the economy, and then we will have those people to build where we need to build. And we can also use those local resources rather than having to go outside to get those building individuals to work those. I think, though, as far as other learning models that need to be looked at, I do think that the Career Center is a subset of our student population. There's also a subset that doesn't do that, and we do need to also focus on them. I know that at the last school board meeting they talked about the park tests and the grades that were coming back at a state level, not at a county level yet, but to see that there are some students that may not be able to count back change to you, or to be able to do basic math. You need that as well. So we do need to consider the Common Core, so to speak, but not Common Core like everybody thinks of it, but more just, the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s. We still need to do that, and I think the Career Center does a great job of that with those students. We need to also consider that in the schools outside of the Career Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Next question goes to Laura Lee Farrell first. Are our students career ready now? Why or why not?
Well, the standard that has been set across the nation and across the state and in Allegheny County is that our students will graduate from high school either college or career ready. I think that sometimes that's filling a large bill. It's a big challenge. One of the things we just talked about was the Career Center, and we all agreed that the Career Center is a very valuable part of the educational system that is offered to children here. When you say, are children career ready? Well, I can't help but say once again that they do have such a good opportunity in Allegheny County to be career ready by looking at what's being offered at the Career Center. And, that school and those programs really need to be supported by the superintendent, by the board members, by the community. We all talk about what a wonderful thing it is, but I really think in the last couple of years that the Career Center could have been maybe supported even more, and the kids encouraged to follow their ambitions in those areas that are offered there. So when you say, are our kids career ready? Well, I think we have wonderful opportunities for them to be career ready, and I think we need to continue to work at making the Career Center everything that it has the potential to be.
Thank you, Laura Lee. Tammy?
And I agree that we do have the potential. I think we do have some areas that and opportunities to make improvements, to be college ready. If you look at the college side of it, being able to get into a college and pass the entrance exams for a college, that's the key to being college ready. And I think we do need to look at that as well. Outside of the career side of it, those that are wanting to go to college, we need to make sure that they're ready to be able to enter those colleges and to work towards the degree that they want. From a career ready perspective, I agree that the Career Center is there to make that difference, and they are making that difference. I know, and hearing the statistics of those that are graduating and that go on to a job or go on to the trade that they're part of, that their rates are astronomical. I mean, those that make it to the Career Center are getting out of the Career Center and are career ready and are making careers for themselves. Like Laura Lee said, there's ones that are creating their own businesses and opening their own businesses for themselves. And then there's ones that are going into our local businesses and our local trades areas and making a difference in our community. And I think we need to focus on that. And we also, though, need to, again, focus on the college, those that are wanting to be ready for college as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Nick?
Well, I think career ready has to be broken down into two separate segments, and I think you've got those ones that the other two ladies have touched on, where you have the Career Center, where they go through a 2-year trade, or they go through the nursing program or the police program, and yeah, they come out of high school ready to jump into the workforce. They're ready to go. We have such great teachers that care about their students at the Career Center, that they take an interest in what these kids are learning. Not just that they're sitting there that they want to learn, but they're actually teaching them and they're learning. So yes, they are career ready. They're ready to go out and start laying those bricks, as I've said before. They're ready to go out and work in the hospitals. But I think the other side is we have some majorly great, intelligent students that take AP courses, that take the college courses, that set them up that they are ready to pretty much go out and be career ready as well. They could go out and start their small business, as Tammy said. They can go out and do pretty much anything. So I think we have the two different spectrums. There's always going to be other people that, may not necessarily be up to par, but I think the curriculum and the fact that we have such caring teachers, that they're going to push the students to be career ready, and those that may have never thought they could go to college, I think they're getting pushed to that level as well, where now they realize, you know what, I can go to college. And I think that is to be, something that's commended for the teachers and the staff of all of the schools. So career ready, for the most part, yes. I think we're ready to go.
Thank you, Nick. This is our final question prior to closing remarks. This question will go to Tammy Fraley. Governor Hogan recently issued an executive order mandating that all public schools in the state not open for students prior to Labor Day, and that all classes for the school year conclude no later than June 15th. What is your opinion of the executive order and its effect on the school calendar?
I believe that local school boards should be responsible for building their calendars. They have a vested interest in understanding their own area and what works best for their schools. I do believe, though, that starting after Labor Day is okay, but you do have to look at the snow days. Last year we were lucky, and the number of snow days or the weather was not as bad as it has been years in the past. So, we ended school about the same time that we'll end school under a new calendar if we are doing that. But then again, you're going to have one of those times where we're out of school for 3 weeks straight because the snow's 18 inches up and we don't have any way to get to school. So I think, though, that I know that the school board just recently put out a draft calendar both ways of what the impact could be if you have the old school calendar and the new school calendar. And I think looking at it, the challenging part is that you have to have so many days that you're educating our students. And with part of what's being done by starting after Labor Day and trying to build in snow days, you have days where you have to do half days because a half day counts as a whole day, sort of. But for our students, that they don't learn in those days. I think making half days is more of, checking the box that we had that many days, but we need to be able to provide quality education. So part of that needs to be that the local systems have at least some input of what their calendar would be and the possible need to go beyond June 15th maybe, or start just a little bit earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Nick?
I love the idea of starting after Labor Day and getting out by June 15th. The unfortunate reality is that if we look back 2 years ago, with all of the snow days that would have been out there, the kids would have been getting out around July 4th. So I think it's impossible to put that ending date at June 15th. However, it's really up in the air as to these waivers that are put out there. Is it going to be a waiver that allows us to start early? Is it a waiver to get rid of some of these snow days? Or is it a waiver that's going to allow us to stop, or go after the 15th of June? My biggest concern is if we are actually putting a start date and an end date and everything has to be in there, that we're going to lose educational days for our students. And that's going to be hurting the students with not only the education that they're supposed to be getting, but also the testing is going to be backed, it's going to be backed up. They're not going to have as much time. So I would like to be supportive of it, but I just don't think it's something that's practical. I don't think we can get the 180 days in. In our little region here, everybody knows that snow is a big problem. So I don't think that that's something that we can say is going to work out. And as far as the extra income that's coming in, I know the biggest thing is, okay, people can go to Ocean City, people can go to Garrett County and enjoy the outdoors a little bit more and spend more money, but nothing says that the teachers are going to start after Labor Day. So the teachers are going to be in school. So the teachers that have, students or kids, they're not going to be out spending money anyway. So I'm not sure if there's going to be an economic advantage. I love the idea. I just don't think it's practical, and I think it's going to hurt our students in the long run.
Thank you, Nick. Laura Lee?
I believe that there needs to be some flexibility concerning the calendar, and I will explain that in more detail. I understand that not only in Maryland, but many other states, there's a 180-day requirement for students to be in school. I actually spoke to my 86-year-old mother who lives in Northern California about this and asked her, how things worked in their school system. And she gave me some very interesting information that I'd like to pass on because I think it really impacts this whole situation. Then the county that she lives in, which is a very impoverished county, it happens to be the pear capital of the United States. Their greatest income comes from the growth and shipment of pears. So even though the rest of California starts earlier than this county in particular, Lake County, they start 2 weeks later than the rest of California because the students are an important part of sorting the pears. The pears are so critical to the economy of this county. And I think maybe that was part of what we were looking at in this situation about starting school 2 weeks later. I think for Ocean City and for Deep Creek Lake, though that income from Labor Day is very important to the county. I think that this is going to be tweaked as we go along. I don't think that all of this is just going to be written in stone. I think that the counties will look at their calendars and be able to just adjust some of their vacation days. I do think that school should never, ever go past the 15th of June because the teachers are tired, the kids are tired by the end of May, and so, there's still some flexibility here that needs to be necessary.
Thank you, Laura Lee.
Thank you.
It's now time for closing remarks. We will start with Nick Hadley.
Well, I have to say that, when we're looking at a candidate for the Board of Education, I've appreciated the support that I've had in the past 4 years, and I would like to consider or have you consider your support again for another 4 years. The experience is on my side. I have a vested interest already there with the programs that we've already started. I want to see them come to fruition. I want to see them continue to flourish. I want to see what's already started come to an end. But I also have to say that when it comes to programs, I'm going to support those programs. I'm going to say, let's do this program for this kid that needs the extra masonry credit or that they need something for graduating, purposes. We definitely need to make sure that all of our students are equipped and ready to go out and be college and career ready. And I think that's what the school system, myself included, is promoting and working toward. I'm going to give a cheesy little thing that says a vote for Hadley is a vote for your child, because it is our students that are benefiting from the school system that's there now, and they're benefiting from what I have kind of helped through the last 4 years put into place. So I just want to thank you for your time, Stu, and the Chamber of Commerce for putting this on. And I just want to ask, go out and vote on the 8th of November. Thank you,
Nick. Laura Lee?
In my closing remark, I'd like to say that I'm running for election to the Board of Education because I care about the school system and I want it to be very successful. It's a people organization. It's about the greatest asset that they have, and that is their employees. And it is about people's children and doing everything that we can do that's in the best interest of the children. I think that every decision the board makes needs to be made in the best interest of the children. I really don't think that that is currently being done. We touched on finance, we touched on other issues, but one of the things that we didn't talk about today was the morale in the school system. It's my understanding that the morale is very, very low. I've had a lot of employees talk to me about the fact that they love their job, but it's hard to get up in the morning and come to work. I think that there needs to be new leadership in the school system. I think that after 8 years, it will be 8 years come this July, that Dr. Cox has been the superintendent of the school system. It'll be time for new leadership. I think that there are issues as far as communication, working with the county, that the finance, that are need to change. And I think for that to happen, we need to have new leadership. I will say that because we have had the superintendent for 8 years and the money's low, the morale is low, the student test scores are low, the communication is low, that I, if I'm elected, will not sign another 4-year contract for Dr. Cox because I think that new leadership is needed at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura Lee. Tammy.
I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and for putting on this forum. I think it's a great opportunity for us to be able to voice to the community why we're running for the board. My main purpose of running for the board, like I stated before, is to be a parent's voice. Having children in the school system, one that started in 5th grade, who's now a senior in college, and one that is currently in 1st and 5th grade, I want to see the school system continue to be able to provide quality education. My son that graduated that is in college is at a 4-year college and is doing a wonderful job. And it was because of his educational system that he had here. I want to be able to ensure that we continue to be able to provide that quality education, but also make sure that it is a safe and secure environment for our students. I believe that the teachers and the teacher assistants and the administration, they are a wonderful asset to this community. They have made differences in children's lives every day, and I believe we need to provide them the opportunity to do the best at their job. I think that we also, with having a quality education, we can make a difference in our economy for Allegany County as a whole. So if elected, again, I would love to be able to be your voice in the community, and I will strive to ensure that with the background that I have in business, that we do look at the financial aspect as well as the communication and ensure that we think outside the box. So please go out on November 8th and vote, make a difference in your community, and vote for Tammy Fraley. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. In closing, I would like to thank our candidates for Board of Education, Laura Lee Farrell, Tammy Fraley, and Nick Hadley. I am Stu Zapsky, and on behalf of the Allegany County Chamber of Commerce, its Board of Directors, I do want to thank you for your participation today. This process is very important to inform the voters of Allegany County. And I, too, would also like to encourage all of our voting members to vote. Early voting begins on October 27th and closes on November 3rd. And, of course, the election is on November 8th. And lastly, but not sure as heck not least, I would like to thank Chuck Dickin, WFWM, and Frostburg State University for providing the studio, and for John Bone, his students, and Allegheny College of Maryland for providing our video today. This is a great collaboration of our higher ed, and the Chamber of Commerce greatly appreciates it, and the community should too. So again, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.